Good morning everyone. I've been looking forward to this. Thanks for giving up your time. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you've got to ask. You're going to go first, Will?
Great, thanks. Why did you want to become the head teacher at Holyrood?
This is an opportunity that I'm really proud to have taken. Well, you know, I love this school. I came here 3.5 years ago and I've enjoyed every minute of being here. And you know, particularly in a community like Chard's, I think it's really important that the school is at the heart of the community, and so I see the role of the head teacher here as being somebody who doesn't just promote really good achievement for the children who come to the school, but also has a role to play in the community in making sure that a really excellent school sits at the heart of what we do in Chard.
Yeah.
And so from a professional standpoint, it's a real opportunity to take what is already a really good school and make it one of the best in the country. So from a professional standpoint, that's a real challenge. And from a personal standpoint, it has been my ambition to be a head teacher. And you know, when the opportunity came up to do that in a school that I care so much about, it was an easy decision to apply.
Yeah.
Do you have any ambitions for Holyrood? Like, how will you change it?
Well, I tell you what, yeah, and I've touched upon that just now. I see this as a school that has got the potential to be one of the best in the country. All right, it's a school that already does so many things well, but with some small changes to the way that we do things, I think we've got a real opportunity here to turn Holyrood into something really special. I think that any school needs to provide really great outcomes for its students in terms of GCSE and A-level results, because you know, you had me talk in assembly a few weeks ago that you know that is the important piece of paper that any child needs to leave here with, that allows them to go and take that next step. All right, and Holyrood needs to be a place where any child, regardless of their background, is able to come and do exceedingly well at. All right, it's really important, regardless of who you are, that you can come here and get a really excellent education, great results that allow you to go to wherever you need to go, whether that's a really top university, whether it's a competitive apprenticeship, whether it's a job that you get to be at the top of the application pile for. You know, that's my ambition for Holyrood, that each child who comes here gets to achieve something really fabulous when they leave, but that they've also had a really great time while they've been here. You know, that extracurricular provision at school is of really high quality. So the sports provision, what goes on in music and art and drama, the trips that you get to go on that widen your experiences, so that you leave us a really well-rounded person who's ready to take the next step.
Okay.
What was your best and worst subject at school?
Okay, that's tricky. That is hard, because I loved school. I went to secondary school in Taunton. I went to Bishop Fox's school in Taunton. And even knowing what I know now, I look back on that really fondly. And you know, I still feel like I got a really good deal there. PE was my favourite subject. All right, I got an A star in PE, and English language, oddly. But yeah, so I got an A star in PE, and that was a subject that I've always had such a passion for. You know, I'm a keen sportsman. I like trying different sports, and you know, I had excellent teaching in that area as well. And so yeah, PE would have been my favourite. And I find it difficult to choose a worst one. I found languages hard. I found it really difficult to learn a language. However, I tried really hard to make sure that I did well in it, and I did do well in it, but it wasn't easy at times.
What did you do before Holyrood?
Okay, so I just mentioned I went to Bishop Fox's school in Taunton, and I left there at 16, and you know, I got good GCSE results. I worked really hard and had amazing supportive parents who helped me to do that. I then went to Richard Hewish College and studied A-levels in biology, chemistry, PE and English, with a view to becoming a PE teacher. So I decided that I wanted to get into the education system, and I loved sport, I loved working with young people, and I had a really good deal as I said, in terms of my own education. So that was my goal, and so I spent 2 amazing years at Richard Hewish. Again, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And when I got my A-level results, I managed to achieve a place at Exeter University to go and study exercise and sports sciences. And that was an amazing 3 years for lots of different reasons, for the academic sort of stimulation that I got, and exposure to really high-level academic study at a top university, but also the sport that I got to play. I was very fortunate in getting to play sports, getting to play rugby at a sort of student international level, so that was something that gave me that opportunity, which was amazing. And I did well in my degree. When I finished my degree, I went to do my teacher training at Exeter as well, and qualified as a PE teacher. And then that took me down to Plymouth. So I went down as a newly qualified teacher to teach in quite a tough inner city school in Plymouth, with lots of children from different backgrounds, experiencing all kinds of different issues in their home lives, and it was a thoroughly enjoyable experience. I really enjoyed my time there, and I was fortunate that people invested in me in terms of my development, and I was able to take some steps into leadership quite quickly. So after a couple of years of teaching, I became head of year and did a similar job to what your heads of year do, in looking after a group of people, managing student behaviour, rewards, that kind of provision. And I did that for a relatively short time, and they asked me to take on the post of assistant head. And so I did that. I was very young when I was an assistant head teacher. I was 24, so I'd only been a teacher for 3 years. And again, I had people who invested in me and who saw the potential that I had to lead people. And that's an aspect of my work that I really enjoy, helping other people to achieve things and make change. That's a really key part of my role now, in particular. And so I had an amazing 4 years there in Plymouth as an assistant head teacher, and my role there was looking after student welfare, pastoral care, student behaviour, rewards, primary transition, and I also was involved with a large group of sixth forms. So I helped to run the sixth form provision and liaise with other schools to make sure that students could study whatever subject they wanted within our group of sixth forms. So I had that experience going all the way up through an 11 to 18 school, and then came up here in 2016. And a bit of a funny story, I'm not sure whether you know this, but on my first day here, I was asked to give a presentation to the staff in my new job, right? And then I finished my presentation, and my phone went because my wife had gone into labour on my first day. So, but our baby was two weeks late, so I ended up having to rush back down to Plymouth and go and see her. And then we had our daughter Lola the next day. So that was a bit of a stressful start to my time at Holyrood. But my as you all know, my first role when I was here was working at Holyrood and Axe Valley. So I spent some time working across both schools, which was fantastic, supporting sixth form students and year 11 students in the lead up to their exams. And then that was a really rewarding job. And then when the opportunity came to apply for the headship here, it was one that I couldn't miss it.
Since joining Holyrood, I've personally enjoyed my variety of sports, and it's been really, really fun over the past year, and I've enjoyed it in primary school, and it's been really fun. But when you come to school, how important do you think sports is for the academy?
As a PE teacher and a sportsman myself, I think there are some lessons you can learn on a sports field that you can't learn anywhere else. I think that learning how to accept victory and how to accept success, and the other side of that, how to conduct yourself when you don't get what you want, when you lose. I think those are lessons that are essential ones to learn on a sports field, whether that's a rugby pitch, a hockey field, whatever. You can learn those in any sport. I think it teaches young people, and adults actually, the ability to work together, to lead, to be healthy, to communicate effectively, It builds your self-confidence when you do well on a sports field, and no matter how small that success is, if it's you improving a particular skill or making a pass that wins a match, or something of that nature, can make you feel a foot taller, can't it?
Yeah.
And it's not just the benefits it gives to you as young people, but it's also the benefits that it gives you in terms of representing our school. I want Holyrood to be a school where people look at us and they think, oh, we've got to play Holyrood next week, they're really good. All right, and we've got a reputation for how good our sports people are, but not at the expense of not everybody being able to participate. I think a really top quality PE department has a provision for every young person who wants to take part in sport.
Yeah.
So whether you're an elite sports person or you're a beginner, you need to be able to be involved and represent your school, because we're proud of everybody.
Make sure everybody has fun from beginner to higher level.
Yeah.
So the people that might not enjoy it as much, make sure they have fun. Build their confidence, and maybe they might start to enjoy it. It makes them more confident and build relationships with other people as well. So that's really good.
Well, absolutely. It's got to be inclusive, hasn't it? It would be no good us having one football team in each year group,
Yeah.
and 11 people can play, but the other 210 people can't be involved. That is not inclusive. And Holyrood is a school for everybody. It's a school for everybody regardless of their background.
Yeah.
And so it's important everyone can be involved, definitely.
Before, when you said you were a year ahead, you talked about attitude and behaviour management. Do you think that RTL improves attitude or not?
I think that systems like Ready to Learn have a place in a school, and they do improve the attitudes of some young people. However, I also think that systems that carry very heavy sanctions and carry very heavy punishments can be quite scary for some people, and also can be quite off-putting for others. And I think that leads to some young people not changing their behaviour as a result of systems like that. And so there is a need for a behaviour system in any school. Okay, every school's got to have one, because it's the fundamental right of all young people who come here to be able to learn. All right, for you to learn undisrupted and for you to feel safe in your lessons. That's really important. It's also the fundamental right of every teacher to be able to turn up to work and teach really well and not have to worry about poor behaviour. So it's clear that there is a need for a system. And one thing I'm really keen to do, Yang, is make sure that we review our behaviour policy between February and Easter, with a view to making changes there after Easter. All right. So to directly answer your question, I think it does work for some people. However, there are also some people it doesn't work for, and I think we need to look at something that works for all our children. Okay. Right, is there anything else that you want to ask me?
What are you like outside of school?
Tired. I do a lot of sleeping when I'm not here, and also being a head teacher means that you do a lot of work at home. Other than that, my number one thing is I love spending time with my family. I've got an amazing wife who is so supportive, and as you all know, I've got two young daughters. One who's 3, and the other who is 8 months. So I've got that, but I love spending time with them. That's my favourite thing to do.
What do you think your favourite sport is
Oh, to watch or to play?
to play?
Football. That's a tough one. Football. Yeah. To watch, I would say international rugby.
Do you think it's important to do sports outside of school?
Absolutely. You mean from my own personal perspective?
Yeah, everyone at school as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we talked earlier about the benefits of sport in terms of for every young person being involved. For me, it keeps me healthy. So I enjoy running, cycling, swimming. Used to do a lot of triathlon. I'm training for a marathon at the moment, so I'm running Exeter Marathon in May. So fingers crossed I managed to drag myself to the finish line of that particular thing. But prior to that, I mentioned earlier I played a bit of rugby and stuff, but I I did a lot of triathlon, right up to and including sort of full Ironman distance, which was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And then lots of endurance cycling
Yeah.
as well.
Do you like the students and staff at this school?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, yeah, of course I do, yeah. Yeah, I think that, it's an amazing community, isn't it? And one of the reasons, going back to your first question, Will, about why I wanted to be head here, is that, this is a really diverse community. There are people here from all kinds of backgrounds, with all different kinds of ambition, with different family backgrounds and different ethnicities, different disability or not, and I think that is one of the greatest things about a comprehensive school like Holyrood. That's the kind of place I want to be.
What type of things do you do in your spare time?
Well, I mentioned my running, so I'm into my running at the moment, and I do like cycling. That really clears my head, lets me get out and do 100 miles or whatever, and just clear my head for half a day. That's good. I love spending time with my children, so we like going to the beach all weather, and it's one of those, isn't it? Like you think, oh, shall I get up and go out today? It's tipping it down with rain. But when you get there, it's a really nice thing to get out and spend a bit of time outside with your family. So I like to do that, and I'm trying to read more. So I read. I'm a bit bad with my phone. Okay, so I do read a lot of stuff on social media, but because I use things like Twitter for my work, and so I get lots of ideas from that particular community on Twitter. You can get lots of ideas and education from Twitter, so that's good, but I'm trying to put that down a little bit and do a little bit more reading for pleasure. So I love to read autobiographies, particularly sports autobiographies. I really like them. And I like to read sort of leadership literature. I like to read about how really successful leaders have brought that about. And so a book I've read recently is a book called Legacy by James Kerr, who spent 18 months with the New Zealand All Blacks after they'd had their worst season ever, essentially. And he spent 18 months in the camp while they turned things around. And so it's a really great book. Some bits of that book, but yeah. And but I'm trying now to read a bit more fiction and to sort of broaden my horizons a little bit, because I'm kind of stuck in what I read at the moment. So yeah, trying to do a bit more of that.
When you went to school, was there any teachers that you looked up to and found them interesting, and why you want to be like the head teacher to this day?
Yeah, definitely. So particularly at Bishop Fox's, I had some absolutely fantastic teachers. My science teacher was a gentleman called Mr. Scotchmer. He was head of science, and he was a brilliant teacher. I used to skip down the corridor, quite literally, looking forward to going to science because of him, and how he sort of brought the subject to life, and he was one of these people, and I'm sure you come across teachers like this, who he was able to make a really complex topic seem quite simple because he could give you a real life example. And he would say, if he was teaching you, I don't know, something about air resistance, then he would be talking about, how trains are designed to avoid air resistance or to be more aerodynamic, and he would be bringing that real life stuff into his teaching, and that really helped me understand. So there was him. Loved the PE department. I spent most of my life in the PE department at school, and they inspired me to try different sports.
Yeah.
I think that's where I would see myself as a bit of an all-rounder in terms of sports. I really enjoy most sports, the vast majority of sports, and so that inspired me to give everything a go. That was really good. And I think I would also point to, she's head teacher at Bishop Fox's now actually, my geography teacher at the time was also a deputy head at the school, and she was Miss Tonkin, her name was, and she was the kind of person that I think most people looked up to, because she was fair, she was honest, like she'd tell you if you'd done something wrong, and she wouldn't let you off with it, but she'd always treat you fairly, and you would leave even if you'd made a mistake and you thought, you know what, I have made a mistake there. You'd leave feeling as if you'd been fairly treated. So I learned a lot from her in that regard.
How do you think your early life and your background has influenced how you are now?
I mentioned how supportive my parents are, and that I've got no doubt in my mind. As I said to you guys in assembly, I wouldn't be where I am now if it hadn't been for that support that my parents gave me and the sort of brave decisions that people in my family have taken. To move us to England, to give us the opportunities that I've had. I was the first person in my family to go to university, as you know, and that has opened up doors for me in my career that would not have been open before. And I was brought up in the early part of my life. I was brought up in a town called Greenock, just outside Glasgow, which is quite a deprived area. It's a bit better now, but when I was there, it was a very deprived area. And that was the environment my parents were brought up in. And so, it wasn't until my mum and dad made that really brave decision to come down to England and give us a better chance that things really took off for me and my brothers. So I've got 3 brothers, and we've had chances in our lives that we wouldn't otherwise have had because of the amazing support that our parents have given, but also because of the great education we've all had. And so that underpins what I'm about as a head teacher. That's what I want for all of you, is to leave here knowing that you've got the chance to do whatever it is you want to do. So I think I'm going to open myself up now. We're going to have a quick fire round. Okay? Right, here we go.
What do you think your favourite book is?
Legacy, James Kerr.
Do you support a football team?
Yes.
Who's it?
Celtic, the greatest football team ever in the world.
What's your favourite colour?
Green, Celtic, obviously.
What's your favourite animal?
Tortoise. I've got a tortoise.
Where's the favourite place you like to spend time?
That's really tricky. Glastonbury Festival,
Right.
because I met my wife there.
Do you support a rugby team, and if so, who?
Internationally, yes. So obviously Scotland, unfortunately Scotland, but not a club team. No.
What's your favourite car?
Car, if I had all the money in the world, I think I would go for a Lamborghini Murcielago. I think that's what I'd go for. But realistically, at the moment, I'm more at the Nissan Qashqai level. Alright, that's where I am.
Do you enjoy any songs?
Yeah, I love music. All different kinds of music. So if you were to push me for a favourite band, I think I'd really struggle. But I would probably go for the Killers. Probably go for the Killers. I think they're probably my favourite band. But I also really like Calvin Harris.
Yeah.
That's my other guilty pleasure.
What's your tortoise called?
He's called Vern. Oh, I can't believe I'm going to say this. He's called Vern, like the one on Over the Hedge.
Oh, that one.
I'm going to blame that on my wife. Okay, she named him. Now I have to live with it.
Books or movies?
Movies. I would go movie. I love movies.
If you were to go on holiday, where would you go?
I would go somewhere really nice with my family, so a nice swimming pool and a nice beach, so that we could go and spend a bit of time together. So anywhere where there's a bit of sun, a nice swimming pool and a nice beach.
What do you think your favourite food is?
Pizza.
Did you used to play video games?
Do you know what? Yes, I used to play FIFA.
What celebrity would you like to meet?
Oh, that's a tricky one. Barack Obama. I think he'd be the one. I think he's amazing. Yeah.
Inside or outside?
Outside, all day, every day. Yeah.
Who's most inspired you?
Oh, now that is a difficult one. My dad?
If you could have any animal as a pet, what would you have?
Realistically, or?
Yeah, realistically.
I really want a puppy.
Um,
I do really want a dog.